Welcome to the Content Hacking Show.
What do you do when you have 80,000 visitors per month, but can't identify your best opportunity?
All right, so this one's a good one. I was in a meeting recently with a potential client. They've raised roughly $60 million in venture capital, and they currently get, like I said, or like you said, 80,000 unique visitors a month. And they've got SEO traffic, they've got paid traffic, they've got above the line, they've got TV advertising, print, they've got all sorts of stuff going on. This is a fast-growing company, and by any reasonable measure, it's a complex situation. I was in the meeting because we were looking to assess if we're a fit for each other and whether or not we should be producing content for them. The meeting was scheduled, and inside of 25 minutes, I was in and out, and we had identified the key opportunities in 25 minutes. How do we do that? It's really, really simple, okay? So I, in the meeting, asked a series of questions that were layers of 80-20. So let me explain to you. So I walked in the meeting, we sat down, and the first question I asked was, so what are your top traffic sources? And the lady gave me some answers. And I said, so who is your top audience? She gave me some answers. Okay, what's your top product? She gave me some answers. So that's one level of 80-20. And if we don't know what 80-20 is, it's 20% of your input produces 80% of your output. So now that's not a hard and fast rule. The message is minor action or minor effort yields majority outcome. That's the way to think of it. Now, this particular company, as I said, it's a relatively complex situation. It wasn't good enough just to find the top audience, because within the top audience, because of the traffic they're getting, there are layers within that audience, multiple ad sets in Facebook and multiple keywords off Google. So you can't just work off the top audience. It's still too much data. And so in this particular situation, we went another level deep called 64-4, i.e., 4% of your inputs yield 64% of your outputs. And that's just 80-20ing, 80-20ing. So we're going another layer of the onion. So what we did there was I asked, of your top target market, what's your top segments within that target market? So if it's with Facebook, give me your audiences within that target market that are yielding the most outcome. Same with the top traffic source, for example. We went a level deep. And so in this particular situation, we actually went a third level deep. So this is a complex situation. So we looked for the top 1% that yields 50% of the output, because the goal is to hit the ground running with their content potentially, so we could deliver the biggest bang for their buck. We went 3 levels deep, the top 1% that yields 50% of the output, so that our team, if we end up working together on the content side, can know exactly where to begin for the biggest yield. Now, if we end up working together and we do work over time, we'll go up levels and we'll expand the focus. And so thinking like this is an incredibly useful framework. Like I said, it took 25 minutes in and out to identify the opportunities. That's not because I'm smart or anything like that. I just knew which framework, which thinking model to apply to the situation. And this thinking model, we applied it to the current behavior and the current opportunities, i.e. what's your biggest traffic now, your biggest audience, and so forth. But this framework is extremely effective if you apply it to future possibility, because you can't just look at what's happening now. You need to see what's coming down the line. So we apply these thinking models to the potential biggest opportunities that seem to be shaping up into the future. And if we end up working together, that will mean that our content team will have very clear focus around building the content plan. So they're looking at what's working now, but also what do we need to be working on that is unfolding for the future.
So, Lexi, just on that, what I got out of what you just said was a lot. Your content, the content that is done for clients is not just any kind of content. There's some real deep thought put into it. And so does this apply to all clients of Fubi?
Yeah, no, so there's deep thought because we need to start somewhere. So in this particular situation, we need to go 3 levels down because we were faced with so many options. It's like, well, how do we develop a plan when you've got 1,001 options? So this was required for 3 levels down in this situation so we can start at a particular point. In companies not as complex, you may only need to go down 1 level or or better yet, 2 levels. So if this company didn't have as much traffic, as much sales, and as many audiences, maybe all that was required was a 64-4 view on things. And likewise, you can, for even simpler businesses, say a startup, maybe 80-20 is all that's needed. There is no 64-4 because it's a startup, and there's definitely no 50-51 because there's nothing going on. So it's a good framework to use depending on the complexity of the situation. So simple situations are 80-20, more complicated, maybe a business doing 5-10 mil a year or something. 64-4 is great, but you start to move into the tens of millions and hundreds of millions. 51 is absolutely the starting point you need to be working off.
Welcome to the Content Hacking Show.